Philosophers talk to our times. An ethnology of a poisoning mind. One of the effects, I don't know about you, but what I'm going to talk about in this series is how I feel, how a lifetime that coincides with the first, I suppose, major generation of computers taking over the way we run the country has affected how I understand what I am. It's a little bit self-referential, but I'll try to always draw out abstract points. Because it is true that if you're 57 now, you've lived through the entire personal computer revolution. When I was born, computers were firmly mainframe, and my father operated them by punch cards. We used to have fun shuffling his cards. And calculators, big, powerful Texaco calculators, were not that common, and were great big affairs that looked like boxes. And now, you could literally fit all that computer processing into a watch, and it would still be able to do more. And understanding how that sequence of moves have changed how we think, and how that will pattern the way we understand what it is to understand at all, is one of those places that we could ignore the problem. We could all pretend it doesn't exist, that it doesn't matter. But not only will we explode in a welter of bad faith and exams that we will accuse each other of cheating, when really it is the exam that's wrong. But we will miss a trick, because we will not actually be using we will not be using computers for their full power. We owe it on a duty to ourselves then, to understand how computers shift our minds, what they make easy and what they erode, and then to ask those difficult questions about, do we care about it? Do we care about the skills that we're losing? Or not? For example, off the top of my head, we didn't care about typesetting. We didn't care about that skill that was brilliant at laying out pages on a piece of paper before they were printed. We didn't care about the elaborate printer unions. All of those were just gone. Skills that were gone and forever gone, and nobody would get them back. And for that matter, we didn't seem to care that much about clothes manufacture and all the intricate skills of tailoring. That wasn't lost by computers, that was stripped out by global capitalism, but it was caught up within the computer revolution, because that move was only possible because of a whole shift in technologies that allow communication to be endless and open, so that literally, driven by that thing we call capitalism, that of course computers have itself shifted by globalizing, but endless open communication, clothes could be made anywhere in the world, and so we de-skilled ourselves, and we didn't care about that. Now, but those are slightly different from the skills that we're in danger of losing, that we're caught up in a process that if we ignore it, we will lose, and then we have to strike an attitude on. And that is a thought where, as you become more and more reliant upon computers to do the thinking for you, you have to think what your role is. What is the role your brain does? Because it's very clear that AI isn't very good. Now, I'm going to put a caveat on that. It isn't very good at simply aping a human. It does some of the tasks that humans do better than humans do. And the question is then, do we just lose those tasks? And what are they? And how do you then run a brain without those tasks? Are they integral? So do you need to understand something of them? And how do you teach that? When AI came, what was it? 2022, 3-4 years ago? Something like that. And I remember all my old university colleagues were thinking, oh my God, what do we do now? anything that we set, the AI could write. So I amused myself by giving it exam questions, and I would have thought I would have given it a low 2-2 at that point. So heaven help any kid who used it. That's in philosophy. I got it to write me an essay on Spinoza, and it was the most crap essay I think I've ever read in my entire life on Spinoza, because it had no ability to understand him. And you get it going on Leibniz, and it doesn't know which end to go on. But anyway, that's beside the point. But it always struck me that it changed how we had to understand what we were doing when we were teaching. Now, I have a lifetime in teaching. I have no optimism that teaching will change. None at all. Okay? Because I know teaching would rather cloud compel than change its model about what it is. I don't mean that teachers won't. Teachers are wonderful and warm, and if they're allowed to write a curriculum, they'll write you a beautiful, wonderful curriculum that'll be terribly teachable and useful for kids. But the curriculum isn't written by teachers, it's written by politicians. And politicians have to keep the Daily Mail happy. And the Daily Mail hasn't really reconciled itself for leaving the 19th century, let alone entering the computer age. That's certainly true for the current GCSE and the current system in mathematics, and which is the one I know best and very intimately, having taught it for 25 years, which wouldn't have disgraced an exam hall in the 19th century. That sort of exam, AI is going to gut. It's going to destroy. A good thing too, if you want my honest opinion. But that will mean that we'll be caught up in an endless armed struggle and not be asking the really interesting philosophical questions about what AI is changing. Do we care about it? What are we prepared to let go? What do we want to keep? And how do we want to change what we keep? How do we want to understand it? Being a refusenik is as stupid as saying that AI is going to do everything. It's not going to do anything more than a bicycle can drive itself. It doesn't work that way. It's not that sort of thing. In a sense, it is totally misnamed because as a sales pitch, put intelligence in it. That kind of gave us all the wrong line in. And because it uses language. And humans are used to the idea that if you can speak to them, then you must be intelligent. It gives us totally the wrong way of understanding what it is. And that is also important, because that is also hugely part of the story. It's part of how you understand what is happening to us, what is happening to the way we understand conversation, the way we understand knowledge. Now, because it's the summer and it's extremely hot here in France, and I'm feeling mega cantankerous, I will certainly start off with all the ways I feel that AI has bleached my brain, from forcing me into endless generational warfare, to undermining my ability to concentrate for any length of time, and to change the way I understand knowledge, therefore, not in a useful way. So I will certainly start off with all the negatives that are warping into my world, before eventually, hopefully, I go on to the positives, and talk about the kind of world where you could teach in a post-AI environment usefully, constructively. More than that, where you could use it to help you understand and go through the things that we might want to save and the things we might want to lose. But just to put you out of your agony, I'm not sure I put you in your agony, but just to finish something I was saying. When AI came across and ChatGPT was going to revolutionise essay writing and write all the kids' essays for them, I thought, well, we're missing a total trick here, and I still think we are. We ought to reform, for instance, all the humanities ought to have the same policy. It is your job to set the question, and then you have to answer the question twice. Once for coursework. The assumption will be that you may even just use AI to do the coursework. Okay? That essay will be marked. And then there will be a second essay, which is an exam essay. And if you can't do better and get a higher mark in an exam, which will be marked slightly more leniently, using your question and one other question that we provided, then we'll fail you totally. But if you can do better than the AI, then you'll succeed. And the point is that you'll be marked on the quality of the question. what it produced in the AI, and how you use the knowledge the AI gave you to augment and understand your own learning, so that it was additional to your own ability to understand. Okay? And then you also did a blind question just to check that you could still do it without any help at all in an environment where it wasn't possible to use any extra aid. And it would strike me that that's the kind of balance we need to aim for, where we're marked by the way we set questions on the AI, the way we process the information that we have produced, but also a little bit on our ability to be able to answer the question ourselves, so to be able to assess how much it is lying to us. Because, of course, it's lying all the time. One of the great things about AI is it lies in common sight. It will tell you the wrong result, for instance, for a sports game, and all sorts of things, just because it can. And that makes it damn obvious. But in the kind of world we're likely to move in, where the vainglorious phallocrats who are running AI have finally had their leathers eaten, and so we will be with the same sort of models that don't deliberately lie and that know a little bit more about how to check themselves. In that world, I think being able to outthink it, being able to work out when it is lying, is going to be of vital importance. So you have to be able to do it all yourself. But we'll talk about how much you need to do it yourself and how much you don't. So that will be this series. I think it will last well. It will last as long as it lasts. It'll last, if it works as an idea, I would hope it would last for a month or so. If it doesn't, it will last barely a week, because I don't flog a dead series. So I'll start probably tomorrow. I've got family visits at the moment, which makes my life extremely, extremely complicated, particularly in a very hot France. So I can't absolutely guarantee, but I'm planning on starting tomorrow with why AI makes me feel thick, and continue from there.